All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Listen, think what you will about the Avatar movies. There is no denying that it is Avatar 3 Fire and Ash is absolutely one of the most anticipated films of the year and is probably the most automatic lock of $1 billion film minimum that we're going to get in 2025. The only question with Avatar Fire and Ash is whether it's going to be a $2 billion film or not. So there's a lot of excitement around it and all that kind of stuff. Well, now we've got a bit of a production update because, one of the things about the Avatar franchise has been you can never count on the production. It took them 74 years to get Avatar 2 in theaters, but they seem to be moving at a much better pace with Avatar 3, actually even surprising James Cameron. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon who tell us this. So apparently, acclaimed filmmaker James Cameron has finally revealed the Avatar 3 runtime for 20th Century Studios' long-awaited prequel to 2022's Avatar: The Way of Water. This one comes ahead of the epic sci-fi movie's theatrical release coming out on December 19th this year. During the recent interview, Cameron confirmed that Avatar: Fire and Ash will have the same runtime as Avatar 2 at 3 hours and 12 minutes long. Buckle up, everybody. In addition, the Oscar-winning director also shared new positive updates regarding the current status of the third installment's production, revealing that the prequel's progress has been much smoother compared to The Way of Water's filming. Cameron said the following, it's in strong shape. I think we've doubled the number of shots finished at this stage of the game than we did on movie 2, and the films are about equal length, he said via Empire. So that puts us well ahead of the curve, which is something I've never frankly experienced before. The process is, he laughs, a little bit less nightmarish. We're getting to the point where we're actually getting good at this.
It's good to hear that James Cameron's finally mastering his craft.
We've all been waiting for him to stop being such an abject failure.
I know it takes a lot of patience on our part.
18 minutes a day will help you become an expert at something, and that's how he's making these movies, 18 minutes at a time.
It takes time. It takes time. It's said all the time, but it's such a remarkable thing, it bears repeating every now and again. Guys, 3 of the top 5 box office films in history all come from one guy. Wrap your head around that. 3 of the top 5 films in cinematic history all come from one guy. And a year from now, we might be talking about 4 of the top 5 box office films in cinematic history may come from one guy. It is an absolutely staggering statistic when you think about that. But let's move beyond the history of that. Avatar being 3 hours and 12 minutes. Look, there are definitely movies that are over 3 hours that I think this is the perfect runtime. I am more of a fan of storytellers who can tell their stories in a more properly paced way. But I have to confess, like when I came out of Avatar Way of Water, I didn't feel the runtime of that movie at all. I really did. Like there was such a crisp pace to it and a cadence to it that you never felt a drag. You never felt the length of it. You know what I mean? So when the movie ended, I was like, I was over 3 hours. I mean, don't get me wrong. It didn't feel like it was 90 minutes or anything like that. It's also really encouraging to hear him say, and I'll tell you why this is a big deal, to hear him talk about how their process has gotten so much smoother and they're moving so much faster through this. Because the running joke in Hollywood for a long time, especially Chris, you remember this, before Avatar Way of Water came out, they announced that, yeah, we're going to do 5 Avatar films or whatever. And we thought, great, by 2120, we'll have the whole Avatar series out. But this is actually a really good sign, I think, for the future of the Avatar series, because the faster they're getting at this, they said their process is smoother. It probably means we're going to be able to get number 4 and maybe a number 5 without having to wait 15 years for it. Anyway, you read Cameron's comments. What are the things you take away from it? Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, Betterhelp. You know, every January is like a blank slate, 365 pages waiting for you to fill them in. Perhaps it's time to rewrite a chapter that's been holding you back. Life isn't about resolutions that fade, it's about becoming the author of your own life story. And in writing that story, therapy can be your trusted editorial partner, helping you craft meaningful chapters, build resilience, and empower you to live the life that you've always envisioned. Therapy can help you learn positive coping skills, set boundaries, and become your best self. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp offers fully online therapy, making it affordable and convenient. With over 30,000 licensed therapists specializing in diverse needs, you can find somebody who truly understands your story. You can even switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. You know, I often hear from some of our viewers who talk about having some real struggles and challenges over the last couple of years. Well, listen, we commit ourselves to getting more physically strong and healthy by going to the gym. It's time for us to commit to getting more mentally and emotionally strong by getting involved in therapy. So write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Campea.
My biggest thing was, okay, so we're dealing with the Fire Navi this time. Did he get his avatars mixed up? The Fire Nation's going to be the baddies this time? That seems like a little copy paste there, James.
If Zuko pops up in the third act of this film, I'm going to lose my mind.
One of the Navi is going to have a huge scar and only talk about honor. It's going to be great. I'm here for it. I love that he's getting faster with these films, especially if it's not at the sake of the quality of them. Because even if you aren't super into the story, if you were one of the people who does the whole, it's Dances with Wolves, it's Fern Gully, it's this, which every movie is, I'm so sorry. Not those specific ones, but every movie is inspired by another piece of media. That's just how it is. Every rom-com that you guys like, it's inspired by Much Ado About Nothing, so on and so forth. You can't deny that this is a visual spectacle. He does incredible, incredible work. And so if we're not negating any of that, if we're not taking away any of that artistry, any of that magic that he's able to create, then I love that they're speeding up the process, because I hate the idea of him being, you know, with his walker, helping everybody getting their scuba suits on. I really want him to be able to maybe make some other movies too, maybe do some other things. Love that this is his passion project. Love that he is so about this. But it'd be nice if he was able to kind of diversify the work he's doing as well. And having things come into play a little easier will help him be able to create more things. I'd love another kind of spy thriller from him or something as well in addition to this. I love his stuff.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, the guy who gave us Terminator, the guy who gave us True Lies, the guy who gave us the one drawback of this Avatar franchise, which again, the most successful films ever, but is the fact that it's completely monopolizing James Cameron. Because let's not forget, for years, James Cameron talked about doing Alita Battle Angel. And while I liked Alita Battle Angel. I had a good time with that movie, but it wasn't directed by James Cameron.
Yeah.
And I kind of, even though, and by the way, this is not casting any shade on who directed that, Robert Rodriguez?
Yes.
I think directed Alita. This is not me casting any shade on Robert Rodriguez. I think he did a good job. I think he produced a good movie. But I try to imagine what Alita Battle Angel could have been. Because like for 8 years, we talked about, oh my God, James Cameron's going to do Alita Battle Angel. And then when we found out, no, he's not. And I mean, he was still a producer on it and everything. That's fine. But it was like, oh, and then Robert Rodriguez comes along, does a very good job on it. I like the movie. But again, Alita Battle Angel kind of becomes the example of we are missing out on James Cameron. And let's face it, I don't know how, maybe you can look this up, Jonathan, how old James Cameron is. But
I gotcha.
He's got fewer movies in front of him than he has behind him at this point, right? He's got to be getting close to the end of his career.
He's 70.
Yeah.
Not as old as I thought, though.
What's that?
He's not as old as I thought.
No, I mean, he probably still has a good 10 years making movies, but they might all be Avatar films at this point. So I would like to see more from the good Canadian kid. I would like to see more stuff from him. And, you know, that's a testament to how good he is. The fact that my big complaint about him is that I want more. That's a good problem to have. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We now have a runtime for Avatar Fire and Ash, 3 hours, 12 minutes. So buckle up and empty those bowels of yours before you go into the movie theater, shall we?
Key into your Tree of Life themed popcorn bucket.
There you go.
It's going to be great. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.